So, Shant, how
Mm-hmm.
many days until the Super Bowl?
Three?
In three, two, one. It's the Shant and Adi podcast, you guys. Episode number 26. Got it right this week.
Yeah.
Shant, how you feeling tonight, big guy?
Good. I didn't even know if it is 3 days, but I figured you were going for that. So I just went with it. Um,
No, I
so
counted on my fingers real quick while you were looking down before I asked the
yeah,
question.
but I was so just distracted. I just got it in with an agent right now. So I'm kind of
Oh,
flustered a little.
baby.
Yeah.
I love that. Tell me about that.
Okay. So I have a deal going on and it's a very intricate, confusing deal, whatever, and we have to come up with a new addendum to keep the contract going. So I sent over the addendum, and the agent calls me. He's like, "My client doesn't want to sign that," and I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It says the same thing as the other one, except extending it longer." I was like, "Okay, so what's the problem?" He's like, "Well, we already acknowledged it in the second one. We don't have to rewrite it." I'm like, "Well, I rewrote it, so it's okay." And if it's the same thing, there's no more liability to your buyer. And he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm just going to have my broker call your broker and they could talk about it." And I'm like, "Dude, we're adults. We could talk about it. No one's fighting."
The
And
hotshot agent?
no, I don't think so. And I was just like, "Dude, sign it or move on. I don't care." Like at this point, I'm just like, "Dude, do whatever you want." We've been under contract with these people for 3 months. I'm like, "You
Are
don't want
you
to
the
sign
one
it."
buying or is he the one buying?
He's the one buying. My client's selling it.
Yeah,
Just
no,
fucking
balls in your
frustrating.
court, bro.
Yeah, the balls are like, do what you want, bro. Kick
Should
rocks,
text
bro.
them,
Like,
tell them, listen, I got another interested party, so keep me
yeah.
posted ASAP.
So
Anything else crazy been happening at all? Or it just been kind of quiet other than that? It's January, dude. There's nobody
first month,
outside in Boston, bro.
really.
Not a soul. Just been fucking me and my dad, man, at like 7:30 before we close up the shop, we kind of like stare into space, looking outside sometimes oh, like what is Boston, bro? At least you guys got sunlight until like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Um, it's fun, man, to have sunlight. Hang on one second. This you can't hear. So actually, it's interesting, man, because somebody hit me up about this the other day, and I kind of wanted to ask you. I know I cut you off with the whole weather thing, but we could get right into bed, man. We don't have to, you
How big is the bed?
know. Someone asked me, because I know you got a lot of stuff going on, and they're like, I won't name their names. They're like, why is Ari doing so many things? And I'm like, what do you mean? So I kind of wanted to. That's what we're going to talk about today. We just literally talked about this. We're going to talk about, like, as an entrepreneur, as a business guy, why do we seek out more things to do?
So I think in the process of becoming an entrepreneur, I think just you don't start off thinking to yourself, I am an entrepreneur. You start doing things. You start, whether it be like a side hustle that turns into a full-time gig, or you already had a full-time gig, and all of a sudden you're trying to see exactly how many sources of income you can gather, right? Because ultimately those, like I don't think anybody is being completely honest when they have a bunch of different things going on that they're not in it for some sort of financial gain.
Yeah.
Right? You are not going to sit there and tell me that every single time that Gary Vee gets up to give a speech, he's purely in love with working 18 hours a day. His ultimate ambition is to what, Shant?
to buy the jets. And
buy the fucking jets, not save the world. Okay? So you can't buy the jets with motivational quotes. Simple.
Well,
you need some money.
If he just loved to do that, he wouldn't charge $200,000 a speech. So, and just like anything else, right? Like, why does everyone go to work? Because they have to make money, right? If you didn't care about money, you wouldn't go to work. But you just kind of need money, and we're fortunate enough where what we do kind of helps other people,
right?
Along the way.
So it's not like I, a few years back said, you know what, I'm going to try and stretch out my mental and physical capacity, right? The more and more you experiment with the different things sort of within your interests, I think the better off you become at making decisions in general. So let me give you an example of why I'm constantly testing things out. Say, for instance, you have my job, Shant. The catering company.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, you're standing at the grill. It's just nonstop, back-to-back orders. You're breathing in the fucking kebab smoke. Phones ringing.
Yeah.
Fucking people getting in your way and shit. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I fucking hate my job so much.
Mm-hmm.
What do? The first thing you probably do is probably start thinking of like what else you could possibly be doing, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that thought has crossed my mind. But the more and more I try out new things, I think to myself, knowing me, after having already been there before, knowing me, I'm just getting bored of whatever it is. And I'm thinking to myself, man, it would be so much better. The grass would be so much greener over there. So if you're not constantly trying whatever goes through your mind, you're constantly giving whatever you're doing 50%.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking in the back of your head, I don't like this. This is not working for me. You're looking for any reason to not want to do whatever it is that you're doing. I'm telling you, it's you could hate your job, but as long as you hate that job the least out of a lot of other jobs, you'll probably do that job the best.
So you're saying it's more you do it because like you just want to satisfy the boredom of every day-to-day stuff.
I want to be able to play my hand, to try whatever it was that the idea was. Like right now, I know what it's like to have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy having this podcast. Once a week, it gives me the chance to talk to somebody that understands completely where I'm coming from. You might not understand what I go through day to day because you don't understand my line of work as much as, people might like to think. However, you still understand where I'm coming from. You understand my thought pattern. So if you're not trying things that are going through your mind, bro, you're just going to be stuck there thinking to yourself, it would be so much better if I could do this. But you have no idea if it's so much better.
But do you think that's it? Or do you think it's more because like, okay, let's start from the beginning. You were at the restaurant, running the restaurant. Then it's like, okay, car broker business because you love cars. Okay. YouTube channel. Okay. Ebook or whatever you have, something else coming on, and then podcast, and then this. And it's like, obviously, we're not monetizing the podcast.
That'd be kind of cool, huh?
That'd be sick. But it's like someone would say, well, why don't you just stick to the restaurant and go all in? It's like, it's not that you're bored at the restaurant because I'm sure you're super busy. I think it's an itch inside of you that you just want to keep seeing what else you could do because you want to like maybe conquer that other thing.
Right. I think Here, let me try and start all over, but make it very, very quick for you. So the restaurant was a desire to help out my family, right? I don't have a passion for food. I've made this very, very clear. So it was more a passion to help out a company that my father thought about starting, takeout company. However, before I started, I told my dad my main interest is cars. It wasn't even car brokering. It was just cars. So for me, when I'm going to work every single day, it's sort of like Gary Vee going into the wine store every single day. His main interest wasn't to sell wine. It was to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm at the restaurant thinking to myself, man, I wonder how life would have been if I had pursued this. And the trouble that people have understanding entrepreneurship is doing a couple of different things at one time. How can you be so invested in one thing that you're also invested in another?
Mm-hmm.
That concept, the modern entrepreneur, how they think, and how the entrepreneur of my dad's age, which is just a businessman, how these two people think is wildly different. The traditional businessman still can't grasp the concept of multiple
Yeah.
business entrepreneur.
Well, just to cut you off, and I know you'll continue, but I think also what you're doing now, you couldn't do in your dad's age. Right? Like the resources now are so much easier.
Very.
Like, so you'll have the more flexible time because you could cut out like 30-40% of what you're like. Your dad wouldn't be able to have the restaurant back then and do something else because like, it's just technology wasn't there.
Right. So I'm noticing more and more. So I'm ahead of my curve, Shant. I'm ahead of my curve in the sense that I realize that my industry is a dying industry. Soon enough, we're going to be buying cars online. Soon enough, say 10 more years. Exactly. Carvana type businesses, but for new cars.
Yeah.
So I realize that this shift will take place. And if you're not quick enough to understand that, then you're going to be catching up at a very, very violent rate.
Yeah. We talked about it in
Later
the
on.
previous podcast about that. Yeah. I remember that.
Whatever I do after this point goes hand in hand with what I've been doing. And I think it's very, very important to sort of understand that is to some degree, after your first or second business, they have to intertwine. Because you can only be good at so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, I would sort of want to pass it back to you in thinking to yourself, okay, I am by definition, by title, a realtor. However, you're not some simple-minded, goes to work, makes his calls, leaves realtor. You want to think outside the box a little bit. This is the very comment that my dad told me to do. He told me, Adi, think outside the box. You're not going to come to work and then take a second job if you want to become a millionaire. You got to think outside the box.
Yeah.
I don't know if you regret saying that,
Yeah.
but he said that.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I want to sort of present that to you and say to you, Shant, okay, you've thought outside the box, but you've thought outside the box in a more passive or less sort of physically consuming way. You've taken on real estate investment. You were talking about a flip. And I would sort of pose the question to you. Do you consider each investment or each flip an individual business, or would you group them into one business, one specific activity that you conduct on your day-to-day activities?
Yeah. So it's different. Well, it's real estate sales is one business. The flipping is one business. Even if I flip 20 homes, one business. And then it's the real estate investing where I buy and hold, like I have a rental property too. That's another business. So it's separate. If I have 20 rental properties, that's one whole business. It's not separate. The flips, it's one business, right? Why I actually wanted to do flipping, and I've always wanted to buy properties, right, to hold. But since I started selling them and selling to investors and stuff like that, I met with a pretty heavy investor here in Phoenix, and I sat with him, and he told me, he's like, why are you getting other people rich? He's like, you're making a little percentage off it, but they're the ones getting rich. And he's like, that's great. He's like, every time you sell a couple properties, you should buy one too. And then also with the flips, he's like, you're always looking for sellers, right? Like, I'm always trying to get a listing. Go get your own listing. Go buy one, remodel it, sell it. So that always stuck in my head of like, I could create my own.
So I have an acquaintance here that he is a mortgage broker.
Mm-hmm.
And his father owns a very big construction company. So these two go sort of hand in hand with one another, right? Like you need a big property that's possibly a flip that needs major renovation. I got my dad, right?
Yeah.
So to some degree, Sean, let's say you're a general, you can even start just knowing the business and having so many people having been around you and I guess establishing contacts. Wouldn't you say that, you could to some degree maybe even be a general contractor down the line?
So project manager, yeah. General contractor, no, because that you would have to get licensed and stuff. But project manager, yes. So what I have been thinking about, so like this is, sorry,
No problem.
this is kind of how it comes back to it. I was also thinking, okay, I did, I've done a flip now, obviously trying to get more investment properties. As I get good at them and better at them, I want to be able to, like, in a monetary way, help other people get better at it, right? Like manage their projects for a fee. Because this is what this one guy that I know, what he does, and it's brilliant. He's done so many flips where he's like, hey, if you want, I'll get in on a flip. If you ever do one, to like, I could teach you along the way. I just take half of but it's like, it's a good thing because you're like learning with someone who's an expert.
Right.
You're paying someone. It's like going to school. So it's kind of brilliant.
So I guess being able to do flips, having some idea about renovations, I think that ultimately ties back into you being a very experienced realtor, right? Like you could,
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, it does.
It helps you in your day to day, and it diversifies your intelligence by having all of this, having done all of this. So I think that the reason why I like to delve into different areas is eventually you're going to come across a situation where a client asks a question or they've got a very particular set or group of needs that it's only going to help you with that client to have that experience, to know it. Not just so much that, but if for any reason there's a major market change, you having done already a few different things or having gotten your feet wet in a few different things, you're much more prepared to shift with the market if necessary. Yeah. So I guess if I'm going to cut the bullshit about why I'm delving into different areas is there's a little component of it that's part of me that's a little bit lazy. I'm always looking for ways for how I can work a little bit less.
Yeah, it's not being lazy. It's you want to buy some time back, man. Like you don't want to work 16 hours a day every day.
Right. Right. I don't. But mainly if it means that I'm taking on a new project and putting in a lot of time, it's to gain that experience. It's to know exactly what is required of that. So let me give you an example of something that I'm trying to gain experience in. So right now, I'm considering buying a small lot, or rather renting a small lot and becoming a dealer,
Hmm.
an actual dealer, like grabbing cars at auction and selling, or doing specialized sales, as in you come to me for a particular car,
Yeah.
or there got to
Can you
be
get me a
exotic.
Tesla? Can you get me a Tesla?
That one I could probably get you. Yeah. New, I can't get you a Tesla, but a
Yeah.
used one, yes. So I guess the question would be like, oh, is that what you want to do? You want to sell used cars? You want to go to auction and fucking do what people have been doing for 50 years? You want to take a step, fucking 3 steps backward?
Yeah.
No, it's not what I want to do. But if dealers, franchise main, like big dealerships do this on a day-to-day basis, I want to know my market. I want to know what cars are going and selling for at the auction. And if need be, have to buy a used car for a client at the auction, I don't want to limit myself. So that's just something that I just want to get my feet wet in, and not, not necessarily promote it like, hey guys, just so you know.
Yeah, go all out and like try to like fucking yeah, I get it's crazy, man. It's so I know people like one of my mentors, he's got like 7, 8 businesses, right? And his thing is like he sees a little crack in an area where, like from what he's doing, his real estate team, he has real estate coaching, he has a real estate software, and then like he just has like things where he sees a little hole and we're like, okay, I could make a little money doing this because I like doing it. Like you'll learn something from like buying and selling these cars, but you're like, wait, I could save money by driving these cars, still nice, make a little profit, and it's not really messing up your day to day. It's a little avenue, right? And then there's a different business owner who has like their one business, like your dad or like Frank Kirk, where they got the jewelry and they just stick to that.
I just think you have so many hours in your day that why not experiment? Why not? Like I'm only 32 years old. I have so many years to stick to one thing.
Yeah.
It's not
like you're going to learn something where you messed up in this, in the car dealership thing, the car broker, that's going to help you in something else. Like it's just like your dad, like he's done other stuff too. Like he wanted to do the takeout, right? Like he wanted to add something to spice it up a little bit.
Right.
And it's just, yeah. So he's actually BSing a little bit because he added on.
He didn't have a choice. He needed to pay the rent. But catering was suffering.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like he's able to maneuver and adjust, and like that's how do I say it? It's just it's like if you work for corporate, right? And like if you work at a corporate, it's not just an entrepreneur. You could be this in corporate where we had this conversation. You have a task you're doing. You're the manager, and you got to run payroll, and you got to do all this stuff for your workers. But then you're like, you know what? I'm going to come up with a new system on how to do something.
Yeah.
Because your mind is just bored, and you just want to do something and like try to make it a little easier and try to like just sometimes where I think entrepreneurs, even if you're in corporate, you could still be. I think there's entrepreneurs in corporate. I think you just get a little bored and you just want to try something, man. Like I think that's the beauty of us, like humans. We're just fucking want to try something. We're like kids, you know, you're playing with this thing and then you're like, I want to play with that too a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, I think that to some degree there's two types of business people out there. There's business people that are so focused on their one business, which is a good thing, which is definitely a good thing. It means
and
that
they're probably very successful at it.
Right. There's business people that do that, but you've got to understand that there's a component of this that people completely overlook, in that I don't have major worries outside of work. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I pay my bills before they're due. I'm not necessarily stressing out if it has nothing to do with work. So for a lot of business people, you know, they've got their one business that probably consumes maybe 35% of their mental capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 65% is probably between their wife, their kids, and other miscellaneous shit. So I think to some degree, I'm selfish in my mental state because 100% of it is dedicated right now to business. So
yeah,
if the regular business person is only using 35% or 50% and dedicating that 100% to their business, I'm also doing the same. I'm splitting it up 50-50.
Yeah.
And I'm giving 100% to both. And when I say I'm giving 100%, bro, trust me. You could ask my dad. When I'm at the shop, I give it 100%.
No, I know. I believe it. I like, it's just like when I'm selling real estate, like I'm all in. Like, it's not just, I'm worried about my investment. Like, that shit could wait.
Yeah. So I guess passing it along to you, I mean, your marriage, you and Betty, you know, you guys are past that point of like questioning, right? This guy loves me. Does he not love me?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, she knows that you're here. Like you're mentally committed. You're physically committed. At this point, if you were to take on an additional task or business, she's not going to question, you know, you giving a little bit less time to her if it means, you know, for the betterment of your family. I think if you were to take something on, but you got a kid coming, see? So it's limiting. It's limiting. You got to understand, man, like I'm blessed. At the same time, I'm fucked because the more and more you take advantage of the blessing of having enough time and lack of external stress, you're giving up the better things in life.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be difficult with the kid coming. But I think it's like, as long as, I mean, you get home late, like that's different. I mean, so that'd be like, I wouldn't be able to do what you do right now.
Unacceptable. Yeah.
Is there a way where you could kind of condense it?
I'm working on that more and more every day.
So, because like if I could do 50 businesses, but as long as I'm home every day at 7 and just focused, it'll be fine.
That's impossible, bro. Gary Vee is not home by 7 every single.
Well, I mean, I also don't want that life, right? I don't want 50 businesses where like I want to be home. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you think is the maximum amount of businesses a normal person should invest themselves in? 2, 3? And when I say businesses, I mean the activity of doing something besides their primary.
I mean, it depends, man, because there's some businesses where like you're not going to spend much time in it. Like your car dealership thing, you're not going to spend that much time in it. It's going to be,
who knows?
Yeah, true. But it's funny because like even when like Betty, like a year or two ago, she wanted to start like an Etsy thing, a page or a business or whatever. And I was like, yeah, let's fucking do it. You know, like I'm doing all this stuff and I'm just like, yeah, let's go. Let's add on, like bring it.
Yeah.
And then
what do we need?
the other day, she's like, I was thinking about maybe being an interior designer or just something like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Like, I'll help you. Like, let's get in it. Like, just
make a website.
Like, just like, if I'll run some ads for you. Like, I know what, like, just do something.
So what do you, put it this way, what do you think? 2, 3 businesses?
It depends, man. I think because there's some business that you could kind of be very passive in it. The smart ones that I actually know, they're very good in their one business where they make a lot of money, and then they invest their money with people who will bring them a return. That's another level. But
you mean like regular investing, like your traditional investments,
like silent partners? So like on the flip, that like this person we borrowed money from, they got a lot of money, right? So they gave us $200,000 and we're paying them interest. So after it's all done, they're gonna make $216,000 in 3 months.
Nice.
It's like those types of people where they just have the cash. Boom, here you go. They sit back. They don't even know what's going on. They just know in 4 months they're gonna get their money back plus interest.
So that's sort of like passive, right? So let me list them off right now. So I've got my income from the restaurant.
Yep.
I've got my car broker business. I've got YouTube in multiple different avenues. So I've got ad revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I've got online e-course sales. I've got affiliate marketing in 3 different areas. So one of them is leads being sold to dealers. The second one is your FICO Auto Score 8 being purchased. And then the third one is various Amazon product links. And you could buy a phone call with me for an hour for like $80.
So this is going to cost me $80?
No, this should 35 minutes. I'll do 49. So a lot of these are passive though. So the ones that actually take up my time, they're 3.
Oh yeah,
YouTube is I look at it as a complete business at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have more capacity for an active income
business.
stream.
Yeah. I think it's passive. Yeah, you could probably get away with a passive. Spend like a couple hours a week on it, maybe. But yeah,
I'll tell you this much: if I had a girlfriend right now, we may not have time anymore to do the podcast. How do you feel about that?
I don't think you should have a girlfriend then.
So she doesn't interfere with the podcast? That's kind of fucked up, Sean. I thought you wanted to.
I mean, dude, this podcast, one day might be the biggest thing out there. But I will say, actually, so right now, I have the real estate sales, the flip, investing, right. I actually did, and I didn't tell anyone about this. I went in kind of business partner-ish with someone. I came up with a pretty good idea where, okay, so I'm a realtor, right? And I'm on all these realtor Facebook groups, right? Of just fucking in my community where and realtors are always asking for recommendations. Hey, does anyone have a guy who could install tile? Does anyone have a guy who could install a door? Just all day, right? And I'm just sitting there, I'm always looking at this thing, and I'm just like, how can I fucking make money off this, right? And
I like where this is going.
So I was like, you know what I'll do? I hit up one of my clients because he's like, we're super close. He's retired. He has nothing to do. I'm like, hey, you have a good handyman, right? That he does everything. He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, hey, every time I see a post of someone wanting someone, I'm going to give him your info. You're the front guy. If the job costs $700, you're going to charge $1,000, which is still going to be cheaper because this guy is very cheap. and we're going to split the 300. Fucking brilliant. Like
A referral service.
Yeah, no work. Just I see something, boom, here, call this guy. And it was going good, but it just got to a point where people would have them out, and then it's like they're like, okay, we're not going to do it. And it's just kind of like the handyman contractor guy got kind of pissed of like always going out. But like I could have pushed it to like make it bigger, but like I just didn't feel like going anymore. But it's just, it pops in my mind stuff, and I'm like, I just want to do it.
You became a home advisor.
Yeah. So
you understand, Sean, like if you're thinking, even if it doesn't last for too long, if you're thinking outside the box, like you gave that a shot, now you know in the back of your mind, listen, I've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather not. Right?
Yeah.
Or, hey, do you have a recommendation for somebody? Yes, here, right away. You just hand it off. Like at least you know what you're talking about, and you're able to give the recommendation. So I think more than anything, I think it's a matter of doing a lot of things that pop into your head. 50-50, 50% is to be able to try it, see if it's an avenue that you can further explore and possibly change or just pivot career paths if you really liked it, or the other 50% to eliminate any sort of curious distraction from your thought pattern. Yeah.
Because now it's like, I don't want to, like, I could do this, but I'm like, it's not worth the headache right now.
I like it, bro. So to I guess answer your question from before, why I like to do a lot is to constantly eliminate curiosity. Like, let me bring it back in a practical sense. Like, I used to get bored of girls very quickly. Girlfriends, girls I've been talking to, I just used to get very bored. It was almost to the point where, like, I don't know, I didn't want their company anymore. And I was looking for like a better one until I realized, like, okay, listen, you fucked up back there because that one you actually did like, and you were looking for better. You didn't fuck up, on the previous one because you really, really were annoyed. So you start to really learn what it is that you actually like. Do you like minimal customer interaction? As in, is the girl naggy or like constantly needing your attention? Or do you like the ones that always want you to be sort of like funny? That's sort of like YouTube, where you get to kind of like joke around a little bit.
Yeah.
Or are you more like the dealing side? Like she likes to play games, right? You like to like negotiate. So it's really figuring out what is your purest personality and which type it matches up with. The same thing in business. I'm learning that I'm a lot better. I do a lot more, and I profit the most by being myself, by producing YouTube videos, by doing these consulting calls. I'm able to produce a higher value or a higher return also by doing this stuff. And there was one particular girl that really, really was not impressed by my work ethic. So, like, if you had told her, like, oh, no, I gotta work, that's the point where she was just like, dude, you're just no fun. You know? So I guess if you don't do all of this,
you won't know.
You're never gonna know.
Yeah, you're never gonna know. Yeah, I think it's a good place to end it. You could kind of go back and say, well, maybe you were bored of all these girls because you haven't found the right one, and when you do, you're gonna go all in. So maybe it's like business. Maybe someone could say, right, from afar, just from what you said, well, Adi, maybe you're trying other business because you haven't found the one you really love. Just saying what someone would say, bro, not me.
No, you're right. You're right. It's not even just so much that
It's not.
I love everything that I'm doing. I don't love it to the point where I'm married to it. I think that to some degree, as an entrepreneur, you have that flexibility of not having to be in love with what you do, but you do have to love what you do, not in love. You're not going to stay committed to just one business. What I like to do is, what I'm in love with is being in business. It's not that particular
business
avenue or means of business.
It's just, and trying things and trying, it's just fun, bro, to try different shit. Like, we're in an age where we could do that now. It's like you couldn't do that back then because, like, it's a better time right now. We're lucky, bro. And it's just, why not try new things, man?
Yes. I think that that's where my head's at. It's just a matter of constantly finding different little avenues where I could see exactly how I feel, how that business makes me feel. Do I feel more comfortable?
So what would you say to that? And let's end on this. What would you say to that person that's in business right now who's like, shit, man, I'm trying all these things, I'm doing all these things, and they feel, because you feel kind of guilty because you're like, I'm not, like, I'm trying all these other things when I should focus everything on this one thing that I have. Like, what would you tell that person?
I would tell them I would absolutely only invest myself into one thing until I see the result from that one thing prior to starting another thing.
And it doesn't have to be like massive results, but some results, right?
Exactly. And that takes time. So just to reinforce that, what I just said last, I was in Ani for 4 years before I started BAC. It was tried, tested, and true. And then when I started to get bored, because regardless of how sales went up, and it did, regardless of that, it was going to go up regardless. So I said, you know what? I'm kind of getting bored of this. I'm getting home and I don't have anything else to think about. When I started BAC, it took 2 years to actually see decent income. YouTube videos came as a result, as a byproduct of advertising for BAC.
Mm-hmm.
And that was completely unplanned. But when I saw the results coming out of something that was completely unplanned, that's when my focus sort of shifted. And now half of my business, half of my income revenue from this interest comes from YouTube. So if it's working and if it's making money, don't ignore it.
Yeah.
So
what I would say to the person is, it's okay, man. Just fucking do what you want to do. Have fun.
Have fun. True.
And it did take me 3 years before I did my first flip doing real estate sales, which really helped me to understand and mitigate some mistakes. So.
And you completely understood your risk. You knew what these houses were selling for. You knew what they were being purchased for.
Mm-hmm. And
you made the wisest possible choice. But you couldn't have done that without having some underlying experience. So I just think that trying a bunch of shit, man, it's cool. It is cool. You should be. But don't try a bunch of shit and back out prematurely. Go in. Go in.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't back out prematurely. So that's good, man. That's good advice.
So I'm not taking on any more projects, bro. Not right now. My fucking head hurts, man. You know why I'm wearing these?
Why?
They're blue light filtering.
Oh, yeah.
Because of how long I've been looking at screens all day.
Go to bed, bro.
I might have to make a video right now. The Kia Telluride versus the Hyundai Palisade.
Just do a Tesla video.
Yes. It'll start off with, you guys are going to pay full price and order it off the website. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing.
All right, bro.
Good night, Sean.
Good night, Adi.